Yo. So, wanted to create this video for two reasons. One, to respond to my boy Oscar Nizarine, his recent video about reality transurfing. Very interesting concept. I'd recommend go watching his video because he explained it pretty well, but I'll give a quick synopsis of my thoughts. Reality transurfing is what I understand, and it's probably not quite the full understanding, but just the glimpse that I understood from Oscar's video was that essentially we have unlimited, infinite parallel universes in where doing the slightest change creates another universe or is another universe. So whether I move my hand like this or say a certain word or do a certain action, even if it's the tiniest thing like taking another breath or taking a breath in millisecond difference, like everything, that's why it's infinite. There is just incomprehensible the amount of different universes that happen as a result of our different choices. So with that being said, which universe do we choose to live in, or which universe do we transurf into? So for example, there's a universe out there that, based on the decisions I made when I was 10, 15, 13, whatever, younger, or even based on decisions I made when I was older, whatever, because there's unlimited possibilities, I'm already a multi-billionaire by this age, 24, in another universe somewhere, because there's infinite possibilities. And so it's like, okay, well, what makes it different between that universe and this universe is the person who I am, the knowledge, right? It's not me physically. I mean, probably could be, because maybe in that universe I worked out every day, multiple times, whatever, maybe I'm a beast. And so the idea is that mentally is the biggest change. The only difference between me and a 24-year-old billionaire is what goes up in here and the choices that they've made, to get there. And so the thought is that, I had this experience the other day when I was at this conference thing for this mentorship program that I am going through the process of joining. And the interesting thing was there was a speaker that flew over from America to New Zealand, and then him and his family flew over, and they were running late. And so they started their speech late, and they finished quite late, and they said, we're getting out of here, we're going straight to our hotel. It was about 11 p.m. We're going straight to our hotel to go to bed. And so we kind of finished up the event. I hung around, chatted to a few different people, and then walked out the event. And as I went to walk out and leave, I turned to my left and glance and just see that couple. And now these people probably make somewhere between probably 500 to 1.5 million a year combined. And that's obviously a lot more than I'm making per year. And so, that Oscar's video and his explanation flashed through my mind of, in one reality, I go up and talk to them, and maybe something happens, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. In another reality, I continue walking, and I pussy out, and I walk past, and I just leave, and I never know. And as soon as I had that thought, I was like, well, there's only one reality in which I want to live in, and that's the one where I go and talk to them. And immediately my heart starts pounding. I start to feel that little bit of fear because I've already walked past them. I've already, taken the steps to go in a certain direction. And so I just stop, and there's streams of people. There's probably about 200 people there. And so all these people are walking past me. I'm just stopped in the middle of the crowd. People are going past either side. And I turn around, and there's kind of like a wall there, like a wall which I can't see them on the other side of that wall. And I see all these people streaming past me still, and their faces, and I see quite a few of them actually glance across to their left and have the same thought process. I can see it in their eyes. They're thinking to themselves, I want to talk to him, but and then I see them turn back to the front and walk past me. And another thought ran through my head in a Alex Hormozy video. He said, extraordinary people have to do extraordinary things, the things that the ordinary people don't do. And this is a group of 200 people who all are trying to level up. It's a mentorship group. Everyone in here is reading self-development books every day. There's like a requirement to read 20 pages a day and send that to your mentorship coach. And everyone listens to audiobooks about being the 1%, standing out, being above average. And yet all these people, they're still an average. And I thought, well, to be a part of the 1%, be uncommon amongst uncommon people. And so I walked against the crowd, pushing through, came around the wall, and just stood there, awkwardly. They were talking to these, sorry about these booming birds. They were talking to the higher up people in this mentorship group who were making about $300,000 per person per year. And they were kind of having a little chit chat, and I'm here brand new to this thing, just making money from my business and not through a platform or program they're offering. And yeah, I just stood there awkwardly, and eventually the guy from the US just glances over, and I catch his eye contact, and boom, that's my moment. Launch in, shake hands, how's it going, mate? And you know what I should have said in that moment was, hey mate, I just wanted to ask why you're here in Australia. I'm not sure how long you're here for, but if there's anything at all, I live in Brisbane, I've lived here my whole life, 24 years, I know the place. If there's anything you're looking to do, I see you've got kids, I know there's a couple of awesome attractions around here. If you want, I can send you a list of really interesting things to do that I think would be great for you guys as a family, because you mentioned that in your speech, something you guys really value. I'd be happy to help to send you that list of things that are really awesome, attractions that I'd highly recommend that I've personally done. Or something along the lines of, is there anything I can do to help you in your journey? Any problems in your life that you and your wife and your family experience that you just haven't quite solved, I'd be happy to sit down in my own time and just spend 4 hours talking with ChatGPT and send you a couple of thoughts that, could help you solve those problems. If anything, yeah, just hit me up. And I thought, if I was in his position and some guy asked me those questions, I would be like, you know what? That is a person, that's a killer. That's a killer type person to, out of all the people, come up, the 1%er, ask those kind of questions. They're providing value to me. They're not just trying to get something from me. They're actually seeking to provide value first, which we all know is the way to go. And so I'd probably be like, you know what? I don't know anything off the top of my head, or if I did, I'd tell them. But then I would say, you know what? Give me a phone number, or I'll give you my phone number. Just send me a simple text with your name and the fact that you came up and asked me these questions, and I'll get you back if I have a chance in the next couple of days, and we'll see what happens. I would do that. So hindsight's 2020. That's what I should have said. What does good old stupid me say? Hey man, I'm just wondering, I'm new to this whole program, wondering if there's anyone you think I should talk to accelerate my growth and do better, because I'm really keen to get going, smash it out, blah blah blah. Ugh, flopping, man, just come on, really? All about me, I, like, come on. So, another learning experience, but I made the first successful reality transurf into the reality where I did go up to him. And I didn't identify in time the secondary reality transurf to become the person that gives value first, rather than seeking value from the other one. So, realizing that now, I can be sure, ideally be sure that next time something like that happens, I know and will be conscious of transurfing that reality to a reality in which I am providing the other person value first, because that's the most important thing. And if nothing comes of it, so be it. I'm still providing value. That's my goal, is to serve others, right? As Jesus teaches us, to be a servant leader. He said, unless you let me wash your feet, you have no part of me. And so that is, what an example. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Lord of all of heaven's armies, billions of angels who could destroy this earth, and he came down to this earth as a human and he washed sinners' feet. He washed other humans' feet. Like, talk about lowly, lowest of the low. That's the example that he set. Those who put themselves first will become last in the kingdom of heaven. Those who serve will be leaders. And we don't serve to lead. You know what I'm saying. So, anyways, just a really interesting experience. So that's kind of the first reason I'm taking this video, is just to show that, that reality transurfing, this whole idea it's a bit woo-woo, but it's pretty interesting, because in those moments, as soon as you have that thought, this reality versus that reality, it gets you. And then you're like, well, I can't flop and continue to live in the reality where I'm, making pittance per month. I want to live in the reality where I'm the billionaire, of course. I want to live in the reality where I served God in the right way, where I didn't ignore that person, where I didn't show love, where I did actually put aside my own emotions of hurt and anger or whatever, and I showed that person love despite the fact that they were yelling at me, despite the fact that they punched me, whatever it is, right? So the second reason I wanted to take this video is to kind of document my journey of joining this mentorship group, to show to other people this video what my thoughts are in joining this group. It's kind of a bit network marketing sort of vibes, and I just want to explain what my thinking is, so that if in the future I do pursue this, which I think I will because it makes sense, then future people in my team can watch how I, starting out in this, thought about it, and how I went about achieving the success that I achieved. And so my thoughts at current is that this thing is interesting. It initially always, anything network marketing sounds like a pyramid scheme, and it can be if you're not careful. There's so many network marketing companies that pretty much are glorified pyramid schemes, so you got to be careful. This one is interesting, and one of the reasons I like it is because they don't focus on the sales aspect. Like, my parents actually did a part of this sort of mentorship thing back when they were my age, and they explained it to me, and it was all salesy, focused on, if you get this many people in your group and then they get this many people in their group, you'll make so much money and you'll be able to do this, you'll be super rich. But these guys are like, look, that happens as a result of you providing value. People aren't going to join your team and help you grow the business unless you provide them value and mentorship. And that's why I talk about it like a mentorship group, because at its core, that's how they're explaining it to me, and that's how I will be taking it forward, taking ownership of this business for myself. Right? I haven't even joined yet. I haven't become a partner in the business yet. I'm still in the onboarding process. I'm about 2 weeks in of a 6-week onboarding process. And so already I've created a funnel and trying to create an idea within my own mind and on this digital whiteboard that I use of how this thing actually works. And the top level of the funnel is when you meet people and you ask them about their life and just how you sort of guide the conversation to beyond the shallowness that we all experience in, random conversations in the lift. It's how do you lead that conversation to a place where you can provide that person value, right? And not in a way that, I'd love this person to join my team and then we can all make money together. It's like that comes as a result of you genuinely providing them value and helping them in some aspect of their life. Not only do you gain their trust, which means they're more likely to join your team, but you are actually helping them, like genuinely helping them in their life and creating a difference. Like with my business Neat, one of the things that I think will marry well is if I could say to each employee, hey, you're a new team member, this business is more than just you working for me at an hourly rate and I pay you and you make me all this money and then we call it a day, and then eventually you either move up the ranks and after 30 years you might have enough money to retire, or you leave the business. I want to be able to say to each team member, hey, this is not only a business, but this is a life coaching partnership. If you join this business, if you work underneath me, I commit to you that I will help you change your life for the better. However that may be, I want to make that commitment to every person that joins. And whether that's helping them come to Christ and God, whether that's helping them quit smoking or vaping, because we all know that that's terrible for you, whether it's helping them understand financial literacy, take them through our profit and loss statements as a business so they can just understand what it takes to run a business. Maybe they want to run a business themselves one day. And I want to have a point in where if they leave the business, it's not a sad day. Like I had another guy leave the business to go work for another company doing work that we don't offer. And it was a happy ending. Happy ending. Get your mind out of the gutter. It was a happy part way to the relationship, knowing that, hey, there's still an open door here. If you ever want to come back, we're happy to have you. You did awesome work for us. We're happy that you've gotten a job doing stuff that you want to do more so long term, and we couldn't provide that to you. That's fine, but I don't want the relationship to end there, because if they're working at that job, maybe 5 years goes past, they haven't got a pay rise. They haven't improved their life in the ways that they told me that they wanted to. When each team member joins our business, I have them list out a bunch of goals, 12 months, 5 years, 10-year goals. And so I want to be able to say to that person, check in after 2 or 3 years or even 6 months of them leaving us and be like, hey, just wanted to check up, see how things are going, man, see how you're finding working at that business and how you're continuing on those goals that you set. Have you got new goals? Have you, continued working on these goals? You mentioned a couple of these things. Just, wondered if you wanted to sit down at some point at all and catch up about these goals. And now there's a big difference between someone who takes that and receives it well and says, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. That kind of person has a growth mindset and actually wants to achieve those goals. And you kind of gotta, to an extent, filter out the people that just talk and don't actually do anything about taking action. So there's a lot of that for me to discover moving forward. But, it seems like that mentorship focus, building that network, right? That's the focus. And I read this book by Robert Kiyosaki, and anyone coming through the process that's watching this video will have read that book by now. That book, one of the lines that meant more to me than anything else was to focus on building the network, not selling the products. It doesn't matter what you're selling, right? I don't know if any of you have had previous experience with the business Amway, but that's the business that this mentorship group uses. And the thing I thought to myself was, if we got rid of Amway at some point in the future and there was another business, another way to monetize this group of mentorship, we could do that. And if we figured out how to monetize in a better way for everyone, we could easily just drop Amway and use this other business. So it doesn't matter about the product. All we need is, as we're building this network, there is something to incentivize people to, one, stay within the network, stay mentoring, stay growing, reading these self-help books, having accountability. One thing I say is I spent over this past year, I've spent over $20,000 on business coaching, right? And that's like $4,000 a month. So it's probably more than 20 grand actually. And like, that hurt. And one of the things I learned that was simply having an accountability partner was so valuable to my life, my business. By simply saying to someone else, these are my goals for the month, for the next 6 months, for the next 3 months, and then having a monthly check-in. And it was once a month for 90 minutes, once a month, $4,000 a month. That's how much it cost. So you imagine if I said to you, hey, in order to catch up with me for 90 minutes, I'm going to charge you $4,000 straight up. And that's what they were charging me. And it was a 12-month contract. We couldn't really get out of it. I would say that it did help the business. Might not have been the return on investment they hinted at and that I thought it would be, but there was still quite a lot of learnings and value. And even just paying that money to go through the experience, to realize that like they had thousands of people in their network that were paying them as business coaches $4,000 or more a month to catch up and have these coaching sessions, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind, that that's how some businesses treat mentorship. They charge crazy amounts for it. So to monetize through this Amway business model, where you can make, everyone, it's the anyway spendings. And so there should be a link somewhere that you'll get of products that I've gone through the Amway website myself. And I've compared the products on there to the products you can buy in bulk on Amazon. And I've said, okay, because some of the products, they're more expensive on Amway. So I'm like, stuff that, this anyway spendings, the money that you would have spent at Woolworths, you're going to spend that on Amway and you get a percentage back. Well, it's like, if I'm spending $200 a month at Woolworths and those same products cost me $400 a month in Amway, but I get $100 back, I'm still spending $100 more than I would have been spending. So I've painstakingly gone through the entire Amway website and found what is actually anyway spendings, right? The actual $200 that you would have spent at Woolworths that you're spending on Amway, same 200, and you might get 50 back. And then because you're doing that, it allows you to then build your mentorship network of people below you and people that within the team are all holding each other accountable. Then you get the percentage of total volume, all that sort of stuff. By now you should have been through all that compensation plan stuff. Maybe not, I don't know, depends on where I'm gonna give this video for people to watch. But yeah, just they're my initial thoughts. And like I said, like it's not like the focus when you hear build the network and the sales come as a result. It's like initially when I read that in the book, I was like, oh yeah, build the network. Like that's all it is. You're just trying to build a network, and you're just going to go into every conversation having an agenda. And it's like, well, to an extent, yeah. But if your agenda, like Christ teaches us, to spread the gospel, if your agenda is to go into a conversation and say, you know what, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm not going to force the opportunity, but if the opportunity presents itself and I guide the conversation to a certain place gently, and God opens the opportunity for me to talk about Christ, then I will. And I view this very similarly. If I guide the conversation to the person's goals, to the person's struggles, to understanding what really gets them to tick, what they really want out of life and what they're struggling with. If I have, there are so many examples of people in this business who have gotten over those hurdles, who have become financially free. Well, I know that there is a way for that person who's struggling with all these things to achieve that. I'd be doing them a disservice if I didn't mention that to them. And again, I don't have any team members right now below me, right? I'm just joining. I'm literally 2 weeks in, and I'm thinking, like, I do this thing sort of on the side. I've done it for the past year and a half before I even met these people about this mentorship group, and it's called the Chamber of Commerce, right? So the Sanford Chamber of Commerce is just where I live in Sanford Village, Brisbane. We meet up as businesses once a month, and we chat about business. We get some speakers in every now and then to tell us about some business techniques, AI innovations, all that sort of stuff. And we just talk business. And throughout just doing that, I've become on the board, and I now organize these events and speak here and there to the business owners. And I thought, there's a lot of struggling business owners here. And I catch up with them, I talk about how the business is going, I try and give them help. they don't really ask me what I think. They don't really want to know too much of what I think. They want to tell me what they're doing, but if I start to tell them all these ideas and solutions, they kind of switch off, funnily enough. It's like they're not seeking that direct mentorship. If I could say to them, or I could prove to them that, hey, I'm making this much money in my business, we've grown to this much, right? I know what I'm talking about. I've also got a mentorship program where I've helped multiple people become financially free. Like, that's just undeniable proof. Alex Hormozi talks about this. Outwork your self-doubt. If I had that, which I believe I will one day, have that undeniable proof that I am who I say I am, and I have the knowledge that backs up, I have the proof monetarily wise and in my team wise to prove that my mentorship, my guidance is actually valuable, then I could just mention that to someone in passing. It's quite common when you're talking business to another business owner that you mention how much you earn and they mention how much they earn, or you mention your bottlenecks or your struggles, like, oh yeah, my current goal is trying to get to 100k per month, and right now we're at about 60 or 70, right? It's just an example. I'm really struggling with this, and this, and they might say, oh, okay, you could try this is what I've tried. But just to be able to say that, you know, maybe at that point I could say to them, hey, I'm at 50k per month, trying to get to 70k per month. Them hearing that would just be like, wow, he's at 50k per month. So that would, if they're not at 50k per month, maybe if they're more, it's not going to matter too much, right? But if they're less and they say, wow, that's crazy, how did you get there? It opens up the gateway to me saying, well, this and this, you can do this and this in your business, but I actually offer, if you want to catch up for a coffee, we can catch up for a coffee. Like, let's do that. That's a gateway to a mentorship program, to a upsell, if you will, to say to them, hey, at that coffee meeting, after I give them a whole bunch of value, just to say, hey, let's just check in a month from now, and I want to update on how you went with these action items. And then bang, check in a month from now. Okay, what'd you do? Why didn't it work? Why did this work? What should you do this next month? And then through that process, like, that is mentorship. That is what I was paying $4,000 a month for. And I'm giving that to that person for free, right? That's insanely valuable for them. If I have those proof, that money, that business at the size that is undeniable, that I know what it takes to get a business to that size, I know what it takes to get a person to that point in their life, then that is potentially worth $4,000 a month, and I'm giving that for free. And so if I can then monetize rather than charging that, I could charge that. You know, might be some sort of upsell within the mentorship that, you know, if you want more accelerated access to me, blah blah blah, maybe when the team's bigger, who knows. But I think just being able to do that and saying to them that, hey, there is a monetization method for this. You can actually join, you know, I've done 2 sessions with you now, and I can tell them that story. I paid $4,000 a month for this kind of help, for this kind of mentorship, and it changed my business in these ways. I would love to keep helping you, but I'm just super busy. I can keep helping you for free, but there is a way to monetize, and that's through this mentorship group. And then bang, start them on the onboarding process, which takes them through a lot of education to explain that this network marketing thing, which looks like a pyramid scheme if you don't know what's within, actually is a really good incentive for me to help you grow, right? Because it's like, if you grow your business and you do this amazing thing and I've mentored you, it's great. It's a great feeling for me to see that, but there's no real monetary incentive for me to continue helping you and continue, you know, when you turn up to a meeting, you say, because this happened, right? I would turn up to occasional monthly coaching meetings and I would say, look, crap got busy this month. We had a hectic time. We had 3 team members quit. I had to madly try and hire another 3 team members and train them, and I was back in the field working again. I wasn't able to further the business and buy that other vehicle and buy those other tools because we didn't need them. I wasn't able to make those other 4 ads that I told you that I would make in this past month. So I actually didn't move those goals forward. And the mentor had to sit there and go, well, this is business, blah, 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 still had the 90 minutes. But she was incentivized to do that because she was getting paid $4,000 a month, right? So she didn't mind. When you're sitting there with a person who says they haven't achieved any of their goals this past month, they haven't stuck to the accountability that they agreed to, for you to sit there as a coach, not being paid, not being rewarded, not being incentivized to care about their growth, it's really hard to care. And this is just the reality of doing a business like this, is you can care for, maybe you care about the people close to you, and then you go one layer out the friends, one layer out acquaintances, one layer out new business people that you meet. These are probably the second, third time you're having catch-ups with these people who you've never met before, and they're telling you that they didn't hold their accountability, right? It's only natural, it's only human to sit there and go, okay mate, well, I understand that. What are we going to talk about in this coaching session? Maybe we'll go into a bit of life, a bit of other stuff. But again, as you're building your team and you're having these kinds of conversations, it takes up a lot of your time. And if you're working a job, then it's like, well, I could be spending an extra 2 hours of this time that I'm having with this new person that they're obviously not really caring about these goals because they're not, maybe whatever, life gets in the way. Still though, you could think to yourself, and you will think to yourself, I could have just spent another 2 hours at my job and earned another $50, $100. So the incentivization of the mentorship group, using Amway and potentially something else at another point, is to sit there and go, well, you know what, if I invest this time into this person, maybe they're struggling to hit their goals now, but if I invest in this mentorship and down the track they then recommend me as a mentor to other people, right? Build that referral basis. And all these people are then using their Anyway spendings on Amway instead of Woolworth, genuine Anyway spendings. And the profit of that Amway, because of me as a marketer for Amway, they give me a check. And they pay me to market their products to all these people that I'm mentoring. So that's the incentivization. I don't know if that's a word, but that's the idea, is that I can help these people invest this time into these people and know that out of maybe 1 in 5 people actually do it. But I know that if I invest time into 5 different people in all these different ways, one of those person will give me a return on that investment by taking that mentorship on, not only growing their lives, growing their income, growing their team, right, which then builds the volume of Amway products being used. Then there's an incentive on the back of that. And so that gives me justification that when the 4 out of 5 don't go through, rather than sitting here and thinking, that's a complete waste of time, I can sit here and know that, okay, well, out of 5, I just know that 1 person on average goes through. And over the long term, if I'm doing 5 a month, I mean, it depends, right? If you're a G, you can do 5 a week, and then 1 person stays, and you're potentially launching 1 person a week, right? And so you know that if that 1 person then continues to refer you as a mentor, and the fact that you've helped them in all of these aspects of their life, not just in building this business, then yeah, you can you can get that return on investment in the 5 people, because you know that 1 person has taken that knowledge, they've built the team, they've got people underneath them, your entire business volume is greater, theirs is greater, and yeah, it just continues on like that. And that's why it kind of looks like a pyramid, because it starts to go down. But it's just an incentive model to care. And like I said, it's easy to care when you're getting paid. It's hard to care when you're struggling financially. But when you know that, hey, like, it's a numbers game, but it's also a people game. If you know that the number of people you can help and you can mentor and provide genuine value to and they then will listen to you and take on your opinion and your advice, you then explain the anyway spendings model, which genuinely makes sense. Then explain to them that if they have friends who are struggling, or if they have people who they know or meet people that are struggling and want mentorship, they can join this mentorship group. Again, they use their anyway spendings, and that together builds this incentive model to just continue helping people, continue mentoring people. Because there's a point in this game where I might hit 100k a year, and I will keep launching people at that point, but it will become easier for me to help 5 other people to also hit 100k in this business. And by doing that, I hit like 200k. And so it's like, well, if I want to grow my income, I just look to the people that I'm mentoring, and if I help them launch more people into the mentorship program, if I help them help more other people, and again, genuine help, not just taking advantage of people and giving them value so that they'll join and do this anyway spending. It's like, no, they will only do that if you actually help them with something in their life that they're struggling with. And that's why it's mentorship, is because once you help them, then they will gain your trust, or you will gain their trust by giving them that help, and listen to you, do the anyway spendings, which makes sense. Then they can get their friends and family, or just other people they meet who are also struggling, help them, bring them into this community of people who are like-minded, all wanting to grow themselves and grow each other, hold themselves accountable, hold other people accountable. Like I was paying $4,000 a month for accountability at its core. You can get that level of accountability in this group for free that usually you'd pay $4,000 a month for. Like, that's incredible value. So then that builds the network, builds the community. And again, rather than me, it incentivizes me to care about the people I'm helping and help each one of them become financially free at $100,000 a year each, right? And it's pretty passive. Once you've built that 100,000, it continues to come in because people keep doing their anyway spendings. And yeah, it just continues to work up from there. So it incentivizes me. If I want to get to 200k, then okay, well, what's the easiest way for me to do that? Is to help 6 other people or 10 other people, however many it is, get to 100k. Just simply get to the point that I've gotten to. And so the team that I've created underneath me, I tell each one of those people, I show the org chart, I show the team, I say, you need to go out and find another 4 Jameses, find another 4 Timothys on your team. I've got, 10 people. Here's James, Timothy, John, Leroy. You need to go out and create that for you, and you will reach 100k. And in that process of them doing that for themselves, they get to 100k. The combined business volume for me will be at like 200k. So it's like you can actually start to see and understand that I can only get to 200k by helping other people get to 100k. And they can only get to 100k by helping other people get to 50k, right? Which is what they were at. And those people that, the hardest thing is the people when you start. The hardest thing, and I'm 2 weeks in. The hardest thing will be for me to find those initial 10 people who are actually going to go out and take action, take value. And that leads me back to my very first point. When I said to that guy, what's in it for me? What can you do for me? It's the wrong approach. It's what can I do for you? What can I do to help you solve some problems in your life? And maybe, just maybe, I'll earn your trust. I'll earn your respect through what I'm doing, through what I've managed to build for myself, whether it's a discipline in working out, whether it's a discipline in reading a book, whether it's some insights from reading a book. Maybe it's just find what you are valuable, what you can provide for someone else. Everyone's got experience in something, right? Like for me, I'm a business owner, have been grinding through, smashing my head against this glass ceiling that I know I can break through. So I can now go out to other business owners and say, hey, have you experienced these same problems that I experienced for the past 3 years? And I've now broken through those. I've now broken through that glass ceiling, and I know what it takes to break through that glass ceiling. And so I can help show you exactly what I did. Through that, gain their trust, gain their mentorship, gain their respect. They join a community of mine, catch up with me for coffee. I show them some more value, give them some more value, and then say, hey, I can't really keep doing this. There's a lot of other people that I'm helping right now. I would love to keep doing this for free. So maybe you have 2 options. Either, I paid for this coaching, $4,000 a month. I'm not going to charge that, blah, blah, blah. I could pitch them $1,000 a month to keep coaching if they find it super valuable. Or I could say, if you want to keep doing it for free, join my team. You'll get access to me. You spend your Anyway spendings on this Amway stuff and this genuine Anyway spendings, blah, blah, blah. And that's how you can have access to me for free. And so for you, as you're joining, you might think, well, I'm not a business owner. I haven't been a business owner smashing my head against a glass ceiling, but what have you been doing? Have you been working in a corporate business, working on a specific problem? Maybe you go out and target other people working in corporate businesses, working on specific problems. Maybe people are struggling to get a job in that position. And you can say to them, hey, I successfully got a job in this position. Do you want me to show you how I did it? Let's catch up for coffee. I'll explain to you, give you that value, give you an hour, 2 hours of my time to help you understand how it is that I got this job position. And then they sit there after that and think, wow. And then maybe they go out and get that job position. And then they send you a text message. Hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for this opportunity. You showed me how to get this job. And then you say, hey, that's fantastic. I'd love to hear more about it. Let's catch up again. Bang, you catch up. So what are you struggling with now? Oh, well, now I've got this job position. I'm not sure how to work out this. I'm not sure how to work out that. And this Jamie in the office is being really difficult, and it's just a lot of drama, and I can't handle that, and I don't know what to do because of the politics. And you can sit there and say, well, I've dealt with that in my company. So from my experience, this is what I do, and this is how it solved that problem. And they can sit there and go, wow, you know what, thank you so much. It's like psychology appointments, right? My wife, she goes and sees a psychologist. My brother, he sees a psychologist. Me, I use ChatGPT for now, so I don't want to pay. But the biggest advantage a psychologist has, they just sit there and listen to your problems. Half the time they just ask you, hey, what do you do to solve your problems? But they get paid, and then at the end of it, they say, okay, well, there's this research here, and in my experience, I've learnt this, and I've done this, and then bang, that's $400. So, and half the time, and you look at the percentage of how much talking each person did, the psychologist, who's the mentor, you could say, in this scenario, spoke maybe 10-15% of the times, asked the right questions, gave a little bit of help here and there. But most people just want to talk. Like, the biggest value I got out of the $4,000 a month I was spending on coaching, the biggest value was simply saying out loud to another person, my biggest bottleneck in the business and struggle, the glass ceiling I'm constantly hitting this month was this. Bang. Then she says, okay, so what have you thought about to solve that problem? And then I sit there and go, crap, I haven't thought about anything. What can I do? And she says, okay, well, I've done this in my business. We have a coaching exercise around this. When you experience this problem, do this exercise. I don't know your industry. I don't know your business. I don't know the ins and outs. Sometimes, blah, blah, blah. So she would say to me, you need some critical think time around this. And I'd be like, yeah, no crap. That's why I got you as a coach, is to think for me. And then it's like, well, actually no, because if I do the thinking for you, you're never going to think for yourself. When you hit that next glass ceiling, maybe I die, maybe something happens. It's like, I'm not always going to be there for every single one of my team members, and I don't want to be, because I want to create leaders who can lead themselves. I want to ask the hard questions to the people, like, hey, what have you done to solve this problem, right? And then they can sit there, and if they get to the point and they tell me, oh, I haven't done anything, and I say to them, okay, well, go spend 15-20 minutes asking ChatGPT, think about this for yourself, come back to me with what you found. if at that point they're still confused, then it's like, okay, I can help them out this time, but then I can show them and again mentor them as to how I got through those problems, potentially by myself. But at the end of the day, if I'm joining this mentorship, I hope that there's a person above me who's experienced a lot of these problems, that if I haven't yet experienced them and gone through them myself, I can ask them. I can ask them genuinely, and if they say, well, what do you think? And I say, I don't know. I'm sure that if I tell them that I've spent 2 hours thinking about this by myself and I still can't come up with a good enough answer, that's when the mentorship is really crucial. That's when the mentorship pays off, and they say to me, okay, you've put in the work, I can see you're really trying, so I'm going to explain to you the answer that I found for myself, the answer that my coach taught me, my mentor taught me, blah, blah, blah. So, and again, backing all of that up is this anyway spendings model that we get paid as marketers of this certain company, and again, it could be any company, to use people's anyway spendings. Instead of spending it at Woolworth, you spend it on Amway, and everyone gets a percentage back. And the more and more people you build in your team as direct sales commission from referring that product. I thought about it this way as well. It's like, Tesla, the car company, they give like a certain amount of points if you refer someone to buy a Tesla. And there's YouTubers out there who have so many points from referring their subscribers to buy Teslas that they can buy a free Tesla themselves from those points. But you can't convert those points into cash. Amway, you can. So that's like pretty cool. Like, not even Tesla, multi-billion, 100 billion, potentially $1 trillion company by the time you're watching this video. By the way, I've got all my life savings in Tesla currently, so I'm hoping it's becoming that multi-trillion dollar company. If you want to hear me rant about something, ask me about Tesla, the company. I love it. Anyways. Yes, so Tesla, being as big as they are, won't pay their people out in cash, but Amway does, to help incentivize this referral growth, this mentorship partnership we have, and can build this network. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool way of monetizing and incentivizing care and growth for everyone that you meet, because that 1 in 5 or blah 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 will build a business, will continue to change their own life, change your life, and change other people's lives as well. I think moving into the age of robotics, and that's why I mentioned Tesla, right? I think those humanoid robots will start eating up jobs. We know that AI has already taken out so many jobs, and so humanoid robots will only be the next level, just like the industrial age did. So like, that's coming. Any person who does any form of research into that knows that is coming, that wave of unemployment. And so how good will it be to be able to look someone in the face and say, hey, if you want a way to become financially independent through growing and helping other people and networking with other people and mentoring other people, you can become financially free and avoid having your job taken from these robots. Maybe you buy a few robots and then use them to create more leverage and income for yourself, right? Like, I think it'll get to a point where businesses will have, instead of a frontline employee doing the picking and packing, that employee will then upskill through mentorship within the business, and then they'll be managing a fleet of robots to do the picking and packing. Right? So the same thing will only happen. So if we can become good at mentoring and growing individuals in some way in their life, in their business, then when robots and things come, there'll be so many more opportunities. If you're financially free and you see that you can buy a robot for 50 grand and use that to do a whole bunch of work, maybe you go and drop that robot off and it does house cleaning while you work on your laptop or something, have a meeting, mentorship call while that robot's out earning $50 an hour. You can be doing your stuff plus earning $50 an hour by dropping a robot off doing house cleaning or commercial cleaning, right? So just stuff like that. You'll be able to have those opportunities because you'll have the time freedom to make use of them. And that time freedom comes when you have enough income passively, right? Like my income from my business currently is super active. Yes, we might make $5,000 to $10,000 in profit a month currently, but it's active. I have to be there every day telling the team what to do, showing them where to go, coaching them on this and that and quality control and all this. And I'm trying to build that business to a point where it is more passive, but it's really damn hard in a traditional business. Whereas something like this, where it's you get paid from people's anyway spendings, like it's kind of a no-brainer. Anyways, this is going on way too long. It's going to take ages to upload to YouTube, but I hope you got some value out of this, and I hope you are starting to think through what it will take for you to grow in this business, to help other people, genuinely mentor other people. You know, there's so many people feel they have imposter syndrome. It's just going to be the case, right? Until you have that experience. And that's why we actually, like for me, for example, I don't have the credibility yet to say to someone, I make 100,000 in passive income per year, join my mentorship group. It's like, nah, I've got 2 people up from me who are my mentors who are making that. And so when you join, you get access to them and they'll teach you how to do it. But you know, for me, because you're a part of my team, I will get the benefit. And that's the same for you. You can recommend people to me and the people above me, and you don't have to be the one that's mentoring them initially. But as you grow your team, if you get 10 people underneath you who are all using their anyway spendings, immediately you're making like, I think it's like 50 grand a year. And so you can then tell anyone else that you get on board that, hey, I'm making 50 grand a year just by getting 10 people under me, and I'll teach you how to do that. And so you instantly have that credibility just by like 10 people who are all using their anyway spendings. And so I think that's kind of powerful when you think about that. And then you, again, as those 10 people then get to 50K, right, they just get 10 people under them, then you're suddenly at 100K. And then you go to those 10 people and say, well, do you want to get to 100K? Just do what I did. Make each of your people underneath you get to 50K. And then like the whole team just keeps building as the people below keep getting the help and the mentorship and spreading the product awareness, getting the checks as a marketer for the product. It's like, man, anyways, I think that's enough. I think you get the idea. And look, I'm wherever you are in your journey. Maybe you're above where I am currently, maybe you're earning way more than I'm currently, and you just want time freedom or passive income in that sense, and you really think you can do it. Or even if you're feeling that imposter syndrome right now and you're thinking, man, this, you know, I don't have these skills, I don't have that personality. Like, this has taken me 10 years to get to this point. I started reading these kind of books when I was 15. I was really, really fortunate enough to have a dad who went through Amway back in the 90s, and he was put onto some of this stuff. Even though it was more salesy, he was put onto it. I was fortunate that he gave me some of those books when I was 15, so it's taken me to 24, and I'm still earning less than $5,000 a month in personal income, right? So 10 years in and I'm still doing this. I'm terrible. So I just hope that, you know, through my experience, through my knowledge and what I've done, I can help you guys get to that point faster. And that's why I'm really excited to join this mentorship program as well, is because I think that it will accelerate me being able to grow my business, grow my life, grow my spiritual life. I think there's a lot of mentors in here who have figured a lot of that stuff out, and I'm still struggling. And so, you know, how can you learn if you don't take from the people who have already done what you want to achieve? And I've been going a lot at this solo, trying to build the business solo and just watching YouTube videos, but to have some actual in-person, on Zoom call mentors in my life, I'm really excited for, and I hope you will be too. So anyways, see you soon, chat to you soon, catch up.